Losing fat is simple, but losing enough fat to have an athletic body is not. Dropping from 30% to 20% body fat isn't the same as going from 20% to 10%. I'm Dr. Borja Bandera, endocrinology and nutrition specialist. And in today's video, I'll tell you what the #1 mistake is that explains why most people after turning 30 don't get below 20% body fat. Never. Look, it's not directly related to your diet, alcohol, or ultra-processed foods. It has to do with something deeper, more hidden, and something people don't usually talk about. And the truth is, until you understand this, you won't make progress. Let's get to it. When body fat drops to around 20-15%, a man's body starts resisting further fat loss. Being more defined means being closer to a so-called risk state, having a body fat percentage that's slightly higher than what's considered aesthetic. Is it really considered protective by your biology? And to cross this aesthetic threshold that we all aspire to, what I'm going to recommend will surprise you. You don't need more discipline. You need more biological freedom to release energy. Today we're discussing sympathetic hypertonia. Remember, your metabolism functions differently in threat mode versus safety mode. The same nutritional stimulus, the same training, and the same deficit produce a very different result. This paradox happens to most of us. After a week of vacation, we return at the same weight or even lose some. I'm sure you've experienced this. This happens even when you usually eat much more on vacation. You always eat out, you treat yourself to things you don't have at home, and so on. Have you ever wondered why this is? Mainly for two reasons. You move more, make more plans, and stay more active. That's normal, right? Secondly, you generally rest better and engage your body more for assimilation. I'll explain what this means. The first point is crucial for a reason many don't yet understand. Most of your daily energy expenditure doesn't come from training. You could go 2 weeks without training and still burn a lot of energy, and this is what will determine whether you accumulate fat or not. Most of your energy expenditure comes from invisible movement, walking at work, climbing stairs, nonverbal language, gestures. Fit jetting. What is fit jetting? It's the nervous movements we make with our hands, feet, and legs unconsciously to release tension. If you're on vacation in Andalusia and you want to see the Giralda, the Alhambra, the Alcazaba, and the Cádiz Carnival, you'll probably do over 10,000 steps a day without noticing, plus enjoy your vacation. You'll also add many elements I mentioned at the end of the video that solve the problem. Best of all, this activity won't exhaust your nervous system like another high-intensity interval training session or CrossFit class. Secondly, overall rest, not just sleep, is even more crucial for dropping body fat below 20%. In the parasympathetic state, that's when your body repairs tissues, reduces inflammation, improves insulin sensitivity, regulates appetite, and restores the hormonal signaling it needs to burn fat. Your autonomic nervous system is controlled by two opposing branches, the sympathetic and parasympathetic. What happens is that these two branches compete for dominance. When one is predominant, the other is inhibited, and vice versa. That's the simple explanation. The sympathetic branch mobilizes resources for immediate survival, while the parasympathetic invests them for future well-being. You activate the sympathetic branch when you're in doing mode, working, building, training, planning, worrying, anxiety, anticipation, and you activate the parasympathetic branch when you're in presence mode. Enjoyment, deep sleep, reading, relaxation, nature, physical contact, sex, hanging out with friends, flow. Are there objective ways to measure this imbalance? For a simple check, watch for these signs. Do you struggle to wind down at night even when you're tired? Your resting heart rate has recently increased, a key marker in longevity. Do you want it as low as possible? Without any pathology, of course. Greater emotional reactivity. I snap at the slightest thing. Even I can't stand myself. Does that sound familiar? You have anxiety and hypervigilance. You wake up with a tense jaw. You even have bruxism. At night, your partner tells you you wake up restless, in a hurry, and you overreact to any stimulus. Do you need coffee to function? Without coffee, you feel tired all day, eat quickly or mindlessly, or eat when you didn't plan to. You also have a poor response to diet and training, which is frustrating. Most of us, because of the lifestyle we've been sold, live in a normalized chronic sympathetic hypertonia, interspersed with brief periods of parasympathetic relief. On vacation, we focus so much on planning that we forget how to truly live. As a great Spanish composer and poet who recently passed said, for some, life gallops, a path of hours, minutes, and seconds. I'm more humble, and I just want the wave that rises from the last breath of a second to carry me gently to the next one. Who is it? I'll read your answers in the comments. The worst part is you can feel normal but still lack enough parasympathetic strength, which is dangerously misleading. Your body adapts, your mind justifies it, you stop feeling alarmed, and your health suffers. In obesity, chronic basal sympathetic activation occurs, so even while resting, your sympathetic system is overactive. This is related to lower mobilization of lipids, insulin resistance, and metabolic alterations. These three things. In fact, Lambert and his colleagues very accurately say that in obesity, we should first focus on improving the system, everything else comes more easily. This basal sympathetic hypertonia makes the beta-adrenergic receptors in your adipose tissue, in your fat, less sensitive, and therefore less fat is released from them. When we're in a deficit or exercising, you might not lose weight even if you do everything right. Does that sound familiar, Borja? I train hard and eat well, but I'm not losing fat. Here's why that might be. In fact, weight loss through diet and exercise decreases sympathetic activity and improves metabolic sensitivity. Here's the point that most people don't recognize. The sympathetic system should help you mobilize fat. Yes, but if it's chronically activated, the system becomes numb, like living next to a highway, right? At first the noise bothers you, like, what car noise? This is horrible. But then you don't hear it anymore. Adipocytes behave similarly with catecholamines, which explains why many people who exercise, fast, or diet see little response from their fat tissue. This is due to catecholamine resistance or reduced beta-adrenergic sensitivity. At this point, the most stubborn abdominal fat, especially under the love handles, becomes even more resistant due to fewer receptors and reduced blood flow. Why haven't I mentioned sleep? Sympathetic hypertonia is mainly responsible for your poor sleep. By correcting it, you will rest much better and you will lose more fat. And it's not only responsible for worse sleep, but also for higher than normal blood pressure or higher spikes. When you're upset, digestion worsens, causing bloating, irregular bowel movements, and soft stools or diarrhea. Your intestine digests and absorbs best in a parasympathetic state. Do you have insomnia, wake up at night, or sleep lightly? A fly wakes you, your partner turns over, and you wake up. Worse glucose tolerance. What you eat raises your blood sugar more, lower libido, and poorer erection quality, or situational erectile dysfunction. You know what I mean? Is your soldier not working? When you need it most, recovery from training is worse, soreness lasts longer, overload injuries increase, progress feels stalled, skin is drier and less attractive, dermatitis or psoriasis outbreaks are more common if predisposed, and cravings for sugar and ultra-processed foods rise due to less inhibitory control. Yes, all of this applies even if you feel normal, are doing things right, and don't notice anything happening. That's all for the bad news, which has been a lot, and now comes the good news. I'm going to give you a realistic, practical, and measurable plan. Nothing esoteric and very cheap. What for? To modulate your sympathetic activity, first consciously regulate your breathing for 3 minutes twice a day. Inhale for 4 seconds, and when you think your lungs are full, inhale again with all your strength. Take 2 inhales, then exhale slowly and steadily for 8 seconds. Repeat this for 3 minutes at the same times each day, before work, before meals, when you get home, after work, etc. Find your moment, whatever it is. If you don't have 3 minutes, do 2 or even 1, but do something. Also, close out your day. The main problem is that you keep your foot on the gas until you literally collapse, exhausted. You can't live like that. Rituals create helpful daily transitions. I suggest ending your day with a closure to shift from sympathetic to parasympathetic mode. Dim the lights and set your phone to silent or airplane mode. Listen to classical music while cooking, take a hot shower, read, and put the kids to bed with a story. Watch a television show, light incense, stretch, or take a walk without headphones or your phone, which is what I do most often. Personally, this walk helps me balance out my day, be grateful, let my mind wander freely, and get ready for rest mode. Third point. Don't train more, train better. What happens when, in a situation of chronic stress and sympathetic overactivity, you keep doing 5 high-intensity interval training sessions a week, 5 strength sessions? Always going to failure and ending up exhausted after every workout. The no pain, no gain mentality sometimes doesn't lead us to fat loss, but to the exact opposite. Overtraining, or being close to it, which is called overreaching, is very counterproductive for fat loss. In this case, I recommend many patients to remove 1 or 2 high-intensity sessions and add 1 or 2 zone 2 sessions, And when they're way over the top with intensity, I even prescribe walks or strolls, as well as deload weeks, where training is kept to a minimum. I repeat, this is what we're doing with many patients because it's a necessity. If you want us to help you with nutritional or training advice, leave your information here. Breaking yourself sets you back, not forward. Recovering helps you progress. Fourth, increase real social contact, limit digital. As an endocrinologist, I've recently started advising patients to meet friends, have coffee, or enjoy a treat like cake. I don't know if it's social media or today's world, but we're facing an epidemic of orthorexia, disconnection, and a major loss of common sense. This is worse for your health than eating sugary desserts. Real social contact boosts the parasympathetic system. Digital contact doesn't. When was the last time you saw your best friends just because? Not for big events like having kids, getting married, divorced, or tough times. Getting together just to share should be something scheduled, ritualistic, recurring, not the last resort because we're all really busy. 5. Nature as medicine. Spending time outdoors greatly boosts the parasympathetic tone, especially when combined with light activity like walking or jogging. We get a double antidepressant effect. That's why it's hard to be in a bad mood in the mountains or at the beach. Look at people's faces. Spend time in nature and observe. You'll see. 6. Finally, if you're already doing the basics, non-invasive auricular vagus nerve stimulation is possible with devices like NeuroSym, making life easier. You can use them anytime, especially in the late afternoon or evening. They have been shown to improve symptoms of sympathetic hypertonia mentioned in this video. I'll leave all the information here for you in case you're interested in learning more. Losing fat, as you've seen, isn't just about diet and the gym. It's not just about calories, macros, vitamins, and minerals. Your nervous system has to support you, and it's not doing that. You need to stop living as if the world is a constant threat, because when you live feeling threatened, your body doesn't want to get rid of a precious resource that can help you survive. Fat works differently. When your body feels safe, it releases the excess, energy, and trust. I hope this video offered a new perspective on fat loss. See you next time, big hug, and keep empowering yourself.